Welcome to Precision Sports Talk. Hey, today I just want to talk a little bit about Julio Jones and the Falcons. DeAndre Hopkins came out yesterday and said a little something about he was the best receiver in the league, and I just wanted to weigh in on his opinion. That's his opinion. I'm sure you got to think that you're the best, you know. He's one of the top receivers in the league. I say he's second to Julio Jones. Antonio Brown's just been through too much the past couple of years to even put him up there. I mean, I still would put Antonio Brown at 3 or 4, but that'd be kind of between him and Michael Thomas. But the top two are definitely Julio and DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins said that if he had a quarterback like Matt Ryan or Drew Brees to throw to him, that he would have better stats than Michael Thomas and Julio. You know, it's a possibility, but then again, you know, the Falcons could say if Tom Brady was our quarterback, you know, in the 2000s, we would have won a couple Super Bowls or whatever. You could say anything, you know. They could argue DeAndre Hopkins plays all his indoor games like Julio Jones, indoors, on turf, no wind, no sun blocking your eyes, you know. So you can speculate, but, you know, really you just have to go off the stats and you know, the catch radius and what you see the catches made. And DeAndre Hopkins is a freak. He makes some great catches. He puts up good numbers. But to say that you're better than Julio Jones, you know, I hope he believes it. And, you know, his self-belief, that's great. But as a fan, I love Julio Jones. And I think he's the best receiver in the league, and I think he's the best receiver of the last 10 years. You know, Megatron was the best receiver in the league, and then when he retired, Julio took over. And it's pretty much been Julio ever since. You know, Julio's the only one that came close to 2,000 yards. You know, he's always putting up 1,300, 1,500 yards a season. Julio doesn't have as many touchdowns because he's always double covered in the red zone. I mean, he's always double covered, but in the red zone, it's even more difficult when you're can't stretch the field like you normally can to get open. His routes are limited. So, but as far as what we've seen, the catch in the Super Bowl, the unbelievable catch against the Giants, and, you know, the stats every year, Julio is undeniably number one in my book. And I think a lot of people will agree with me. I just want to see what you guys would think. You know, I've got Julio's back all the way, and I'm a Julio fan. And I think this season, if we can get Julio 100-plus receptions, so he's going to have to get 150 targets or so, maybe more. If we can get him 100 to 110 receptions this year, you know, I think he'll be 1,700 yards. 10 touchdowns would be great, but he's usually at 7 to 8. But, yeah, I think that Julio is the best wide receiver in the NFL today. And if anyone disagrees with me, please leave it in the comments. And also another point, you know, number one wide receiver in the league doesn't get traded away for, you know, a washed-up running back from the Arizona Cardinals. You know, and Julio's leadership, off the field, Julio's the best receiver with his leadership skills. He's been through a couple contract negotiations with the Falcons. And he's always remained steadfast in his belief that no, it's the team first. That's why he showed up to minicamp, and that's why he showed up and never held out of the season or anything like that. You know, even when contract talks were still being held up, Julio stayed in the locker room. He stayed a teammate first, and I really feel like that is a big difference between, you know, that puts a bigger gap between number one and number two, between him and DeAndre Hopkins. You know, DeAndre Hopkins got traded for, you know, David Johnson of the Cardinals, which they needed a running back, but David Johnson, you know, he's been riddled with injuries. It's been a while since he's played really well. And, you know, I just think right there that kind of cements, you know, if the Falcons were to trade away Julio Jones, you know, and Julio has been in the league a lot longer than Hopkins, 4 more years longer, something like that. And, you know, just based on what we've seen, Julio is still in his prime, but also he's been in the league longer. And DeAndre has, you know, been in his prime for a couple of years now. But even the Falcons would still at least 2 first-round picks. I don't know, maybe a first-round pick. but it's going to be at least a first-round pick for Julio Jones. And it's only because of his age. If it was 3 years ago, we'd need 2 or 3 of those first-round picks. Khalil Mack type trade. But yeah, so that's just my opinion on Julio and DeAndre Hopkins. And getting into the Falcons, I like what the Falcons have done on defense. I like the Dion Buchanan acquisition at linebacker. He's fast. He's almost as fast as Deion Jones. So both of those guys running around, in the linebacker position, it's really going to help us against Gronk and, the great tight ends in the NFC South. Christian McCaffrey even, and we're getting back Keanu Neal. I think the defense is going to be much improved. Back to being fast and physical. I say back. We've never really maintained our health throughout the season. But, I really think if we can stay healthy, we're a dangerous defense. We're an underrated defense. And I think we're going to be healthy this year and we're becoming strong. I definitely think we're going to be a top 10 defense. On paper, the talent we have, we're a top 5 defense, It's just always with the Falcons, can we play up to our potential? That's really what it is every year. We desperately needed help with pass rush. I think we've addressed some of the pass rush issues. I still think we need one more guy. Unless Takk McKinley can just show, hey, I am that first-round guy. I am that first-round defensive end that you thought you were getting. That double-digit sack every season guy you thought you were getting. If I will be upset if on June 2nd, June 3rd, after we get the salary cap money from Desmond Trufant, I really hope we pick up another edge rusher. But we'll see what happens. We also may need a little bit of help at corner. I like corner. I like Isaiah Oliver. But maybe an experienced veteran would help for a good price. I think that would really solidify the defense. One more experienced defensive end and one more experienced veteran corner. And I think we are good. I think we take the NFC South. I think the Saints win 9 games and cry about it. I don't care. And, the Buccaneers, 10 games, whatever. I hope the Falcons can win 12 to 13 games. Stay consistent, stay healthy, see you in the Super Bowl. Let me know what you guys think. Leave any comments in the comments below. If you disagree with me, agree with me. Please like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, guys.